Hello, and welcome to Jordan Reads. Before we continue with Yelena's newfound life as the Commander's food taster, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to all who have taken the time to listen to Chapter 1 and 2. I really do appreciate it. I would like to also let you all know that we now have a Jordan Reads Facebook group, Twitter and Instagram page. If you want to stay updated when a new episode comes out, go follow one or more of those groups to stay in the loop. Alternatively, you can also subscribe on YouTube and hit the like and bell icon for notifications too. Anyway, without further ado, here is Jordan Reads. Poison Study by Maria V. Snyder, part of the Chronicles of Ixia series. Chapter 3. Riyadh's whip cut into my skin, slashing my flesh with a burning pain. "Move," he ordered. I dodged inefficiently, hampered by the rope tied to my wrist, which anchored me to a post in the centre of the room. "Move faster, keep moving," Riyadh shouted. The whip snapped again and again. The tattered shirt gave no protection from the stinging leather. A cool, soothing voice entered my skull. "Go away," it whispered. "Send your mind to a distant place, a warm, loving place. Let your body go." The silken voice didn't belong to Riyadh or Brazzel. A saviour, perhaps? An easy way to escape the torment. Tempting, but I held out for another opportunity. Determined, I stayed, focusing on avoiding the lash. When exhaustion claimed me, my body began to vibrate on its own accord. Like an out-of-control hummingbird, I darted around the room, avoiding the whip. I woke in darkness, soaked with sweat. My crumpled uniform twisted tight around my body. The vibration in my dream replaced by a pounding. Before falling asleep, I had wedged a chair under the doorknob to prevent anyone from barging in. The chair rattled with each thud. "I'm up," I shouted. The racket stopped. When I opened the door, Marge stood frowning with the lantern. I hastened to change my uniform and joined her in the hallway. "I thought you said sunrise." Her disapproving stare seared my lips shut. "It is sunrise." I followed Marge through the labyrinth of the castle's hidden hallways as the day began to brighten. My room faced west, shielding me from the morning sun. Marge extinguished the lantern just as the scent of sweet cakes filled the air. Inhaling, I asked her, "Breakfast?" A hopeful, almost pleading note crept into my voice, galling me. "No, Valak will feed you." The image of breakfast laced with poison did wonders for suppressing my appetite. My stomach tightened as the unwanted memory of Valak's butterfly dust came into mind. By the time we had reached his office, I had convinced myself that I was about to collapse, soon to be vanquished by the poison if I didn't receive the antidote. When I entered the room, Valak was in the process of arranging plates of steaming food. He had cleared off a section of the table. The displaced papers balanced in messy piles. He gestured to a chair. I sat, searching the table for a small vial of antidote. "I hope you're—" Valak studied my face. I stared back, trying not to flinch under his scrutiny. "It's amazing what a bath in a uniform can make. It's amazing what a difference a bath in a uniform can make," Valak said, absently chewing on a slice of bacon. "I'll have to remember that. It might be useful in the future." Placing 2 plates of an egg and ham mixture before me, he said, "Let's get started." Feeling dizzy and flushed, I blurted out, "I'd rather start with the antidote." Another long pause from Valak caused me to fidget in my seat. "You shouldn't be feeling symptoms. They won't arrive until later this afternoon." He shrugged and went into his cabinet. He used the pipette to extract a measure of the white liquid from a large bottle. Then he locked the antidote back inside the cabinet. My interest in the location of the key must have been obvious because Valak used some type of sleight of hand to make the key disappear. Handing me the pipette, he sat down on the opposite side of the table. "Drink up so we can start today's lesson," he said. I squeezed the contents into my mouth, cringing at the bitter taste. Valak took the pipette from my hands and exchanged it for a blue jar. "Take a sniff." The jar contained a white powder, resembling sugar but smelling like rosewood. Gesturing to the 2 plates cooling in front of me, Valak asked me to pick the one sprinkled with the poison. I sniffed at the food like a scent hound nosing for prey. A faint odour of rosewood emanated from the left plate. Good. Should you pick up on that aroma from any of the commander's food, reject it. The poison is called tictus. Tictus? Tictus. And a single grain of the powder will kill within the hour. Eat your breakfast, he indicated the other plate. You'll need your strength. I spent the remainder of the day smelling poisons until my head ached and spun. The multiple names and aromas began to confuse me, so I asked Valak for some paper, quill, and ink. He stilled. I don't know why you continue to surprise me. I should have remembered that General Brazzel educates his orphans. Valak flung a book of papers, a quill, and ink down in front of me. Take them back to your room. We've done enough for today. I silently cursed myself for reminding Valak why I had been the next person to be executed as I gathered the books and writing implements. Valak's hard, unforgiving expression revealed his thoughts. Taken off the streets, fed and educated by Brazzel, I had repaid Brazzel's kindness by murdering his only child. I knew Valak would never believe the truth about Brazzel and Riyadh. General Brazzel's orphanage was a topic of ridicule from the other generals. They thought he had gone soft after the takeover of Ixia 15 years ago. This impression suited Brazzel. Seen as a kindly old benefactor, Brazzel could continue unchallenged in his administration of Military District 5. I hesitated at the entrance of Valak's office, noticing for the first time the 3 complex locks on the thick wooden door. Absently fingering the locking mechanism, I lingered in the doorway until Valak asked, "Now what?" "I'm not sure where my room is." Valak spoke as if he was talking to a slow-witted child. "Ask the first housekeeper or kitchen maid you find. They're always scurrying about at this time of day. Tell her you're in the west servant wing, ground floor. She'll show you." The kitchen maid I snared into helping me was more talkative than Marge, and I took full advantage of her good nature. She guided me to the laundry room to obtain some linens for my bed. Then I had her show me the way to the baths and the seamstress's work area. Yelena's pile of uniforms might come in handy someday. In my room, I opened up the shutters to let in the fading light from the setting sun. Sitting down at my desk, I wrote exhaustive notes on what I had learned that day, including a rough map of the servants' corridors. I considered more exploration of the castle, but Valak had been right. I needed my strength. I hoped I would have time to explore later. During the next 2 weeks, the training proceeded in a manner so similar to the first day that I lapsed into a routine, arriving at Valak's every morning to train. After 14 days of sniffing potions, I found that my sense of smell had heightened, but then Valak announced I was strong enough to begin tasting potions. "I'll start with the deadliest one," he said. "If you don't die from it, the other poisons wouldn't kill you either. I don't want to waste all my time training you to see you die in the end." He placed a slender red bottle on his desk. "It's nasty. Affects the body immediately." Valak's eyes lit as he admired the poison. It's called Have a Drink, My Love, or My Love for short, because the poison has a history of being used by disheartened wives. He squeezed 2 drops of the poison into a steaming cup. "A larger dose would definitely kill you. With a smaller dose, there's a chance you'll survive. But you'll become delusional, paranoid, and completely disorientated for the next few days. Here, have a drink." "Valak, why do I have to taste my love if it has immediate results? Isn't that what a food taster is for? I taste the commander's food. I keel over, dead. End of the tale." I tried pacing around the room, but kept tripping over stacks of books. Frustrated, I kicked 2 piles of books into their neighbours, scattering books into a messy heap on the floor. Valak's gaze pierced me, draining the odd feeling of satisfaction I had gotten from kicking the books. A food taster's job is much more complex than that, Valak explained, pulling his hair back from his face. Being able to identify which poison taints the commander's food can lead me to the poisoner. Valak handed me the cup. Even if you have a split second to shout out "my love" before passing out, it would narrow down the list of suspects. There are a number of assassins who are partial to my love. The poison is grown in Scythia. I think we're going to go with Scythia. Scythia. Let's go with Scythia. The southern islands. It was easy to obtain before the takeover. With the closure of the southern border, only a handful of people have enough money to purchase it illegally. Valak went over to the mess on the floor and started to restacking the books. His movements were so graceful that I wondered if he had been the dancer, but his words betrayed to me that his fluid gestures were those of a trained killer. Yelena, your job is very important. That's why I spend so much time training you. A shrewd assassin can watch a taster for several days to discover a pattern. Valak continued his lecture from the floor. For example, the taster might always cut a piece of meat from the left side, or never stir the drink. Some poisons sink to the bottom of the cup. If the taster only sips from the top, then the assassin knows exactly where to place the poison to kill his intended victim. He finished picking up the books. The new piles were neater than the rest of the stacks on the floor. It seemed an invitation to Valak to continue straightening up the books. He cleared a big path through his office. Once you drink the poison, Marge will help you to your room and take care of you. I'll give her your daily dose of butterfly dust antidote. I stared at the steam drifting from the tea. I picked up the cup. The heat's warming my icy hands. When Marge entered the room, it felt as if the executioner had just mounted the dais, reaching for the lever. Should I sit down or lie down? I looked around the room, seeing nothing. My arms started to tingle as I realized I had been holding my breath. I raised the cup in a mock salute and then drained its contents. "Sour apples," I said. Valak nodded. I had only enough time to put the cup on the table before my world began to melt. Marge's body undulated toward me. Her large head spouted flowers from her eye sockets. A moment later, her body filled the room as her head shriveled. I sensed movement. The grey walls grew arms and legs that reached for me, trying to use me in their fight against the floor. Grey spirits rose from under my feet. They dived, poked, and crackled at me. They were freedom. I tried to push the Marge thing away, but it clung and wrapped itself around me, digging through my ears and pounding on my head. "Murderer," it whispered. "Sneaky bitch. You probably slit his throat while he slept. Easy way to kill. Did you enjoy yourself as you watched his blood soak through the sheets? You're nothing but a rat." I grabbed at the voice, trying to make it stop, but it turned into 2 green and black toy soldiers who held me tight. "She'll die from the poison. If not, you can take her," the Marge thing said to the soldiers. They pushed me into the dark pit. I plunged into blackness. The stench of vomit and excrement greeted me when I regained consciousness. They were the unmistakable odours of the dungeon. Wondering how I had ended up back in my old cell, I sat up. A surge of nausea demanded my attention. I groped around for the slot pot and encountered the metal leg of a bed, which I clutched as dry heaves racked my body. When they stopped, I leaned against the wall, grateful to be on the floor of my room and not back in the dungeon. Beds were a luxury not included with the subterranean accommodations. There's a realtor trying to sell you a prison cell. Summoning the strength to stand, I located and lit my lantern. Dried vomit caked my face. My shirt and pants were soaking wet and smelled foul. The liquid contents of my body had collected in a puddle on the floor. Marge took good care of me, I thought sarcastically. At least she was practical. If she'd dumped me on the bed, I would have ruined the mattress. I thanked fate that I had survived the poison, and I had awakened in the middle of the night. Unable to endure the feel of sodden uniform any longer, I made my way to the baths. On my return, voices stopped me before I reached the hallway leading to my room. Extinguishing my lantern, in one quick motion, I peeked around the corner. 2 soldiers stood in front of my door. The soft light of their lanterns reflected the green and black colours of their uniforms. Brazzel's colours.